Sharon O'Neill, welcome to A Breath of Fresh Air. It's terrific to meet
Thank
you
you
and have
very
your
much.
company.
Thank you. Good to be here.
How's life with you?
Uh, Above ground, Sandy.
Well,
Good
that's got to
so
be good
far.
for starters.
Very good, thank you.
I hear that Alan's not well, so you're going through a bit of a tough time with that.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years actually with the COVID and everything. And yeah, he was diagnosed with an esophageal cancer, and we're working through that. His treatment so far has been very positive. So it's a hard road, at the moment. So with COVID and his immune system being so vulnerable, we're on tenterhooks a little bit, but he's doing well day by day. So
Yeah.
very happy about that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it is a hard road
It
indeed.
is, yeah.
You two have made some beautiful music together and you continue to do so. But if you don't mind, if we take a bit of a walk back, let's wind it back to where it all began for you, because you started performing in the late 60s. My goodness, you don't look anywhere near old enough to have started out then. But that's the case in Nelson in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, well, let's just say 70s. Shall we just say 70s?
Okay.
Yeah, in my hometown of Nelson, and it started out just folk music, that sort of thing. And my best friend at the time, Nancy, and we used to sing together at school. I'd haul my guitar and we'd entertain the troops, at morning break and afternoon break. But it just developed from there. I just worked in a radio station. I think that's really what kicked me off, because I got a job in radio. So I was surrounded by music all day because I was in the program department, and I could listen to every new thing that came in and every oldie I loved, and sit with my headphones on all day, which was great. I just was just open to everything. And that just developed my songwriting, I think, more than anything.
They were the days of radio, weren't they?
They were quite different now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are being joined. We have a
I
participant
see
here. Do I
Jason there. Hello.
do
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to? I can't see you, Stephen, though.
Oh,
Almost there.
He's there.
Yeah.
uh,
Can you see him?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
uh,
Well, if you can see him, I guess I don't have to. Something wrong with me then. Um,
well, hello, Sandy, and hello, Sharon.
Hello,
Hi.
Stephen.
Hi,
So,
Stephen.
so, Stephen, I'm very glad that you joined us for this chat, because it was you who wrote to me and said, please, could we bring Sharon O'Neill onto A Breath of Fresh Air? So this is all for you. And without making you blush, I know that you've been in love with Sharon forever and a day. So, go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
Hi, Stephen.
Can I tell you how it all started?
Okay,
Please.
I'm listening.
Back in '87, when Foreign Affairs come out, I went to my friend Joe's house. He was playing Foreign Affairs on vinyl, and I said, "This sounds fantastic. Who is it?" He said, "Sharon O'Neill." I said, "I've never heard of her." He said, "Well, take the cassette home and have a listen to it." Cassette of all things. So I took it home and he wore the thing out. I took it to my friend's place, Ian Steele, and he done the same thing, and we've been big fans ever since.
Oh, well, look, that's lovely to hear. And yes, I do remember cassettes.
Yes.
And you know what? They're making a comeback. I just
know.
read recently, as vinyl has now come back into fashion, cassettes apparently are going to be the next big thing. So it just proves that everything old is new again.
It's new again. It's
We're all
retro.
back in. Yeah,
Absolutely. And
absolutely.
well, they're interesting little things because you can watch the wheels go round. I mean, you don't have anything like that around anymore with music.
Right.
So it's fascinating, I think.
Sharon was just telling us, Stephen, about how she started off playing folk music in Nelson in New Zealand in the early 70s.
Yep.
And I never realised, Sharon, that you're completely self-taught.
Yes, although I must admit, I did do 2 years of piano with a friend of the family, and I was totally hopeless. And he put me in, which I hated, he put me in this little concert to play this classical piece that he had been trying so hard to teach me. And I went right off the rails because I play by ear. And I started out really well, like I was really looking at the music and I knew what I was doing. And then I went completely left of center. And he said, I got to tell you, I was really embarrassed. I don't know what the hell you were playing because I really wasn't reading. And I think to me, that was just like, oh, I give up. I'll just do what I want to do, play piano, sing my melodies, and the music will just have to sustain what it is.
But you were always passionate about making music. Was there never any doubt that you were going to be a singer-musician?
I was always passionate about it, but it was a slow developing thing because I finished school and I thought I would go to uni and maybe study towards being like some kind of a reporter, study English, that sort of thing, because I loved words so much. But then I just, by chance, got a job in a radio station. And for me, that was just like, okay, music, me, we're joined at the hip. And this is what it will be, you know. And it was lovely because we had a small studio in the station. So I was able to make little demos and put it down and listen to it back. And they were really good days and they really projected me towards what was about to happen, I think.
Yeah. I mean, talent contests played they really featured in your life at that time too, didn't they?
They did. There were a couple I went into. One was a songwriting one, and I think the other one was just, you know, standing up and singing. And they were very low key in those days, nothing like what they are now. And just the kind of thing that you kind of wanted to do anything that would sort of get you out there. Mainly for me, it was for people to hear my songs. So the songwriting contest was the most important, really, one. I didn't win it, but I was heard by a record company person on the TV.
What inspired your songwriting in the first place?
Just poetry. I mean, I was always writing poetry. I was always fiddling around with scraps of paper and writing little things that I thought or felt. And it just was automatic to just put it to music, to sit down at the piano and start singing those words and making them into little songs. That's really all the way it started.
Right.
Actually.
So despite your failure at classical piano,
yeah.
putting it,
right.
tinkering around and putting music to words, putting the music with the words worked.
It did work, and I'm really happy about that because there's no restriction, you know. And luckily for me, my partner Alan, he reads, can I just say fly shit? Because basically that's what he reads, these little things. And I look at it and I go, sometimes when you're in the studio recording, I do miss not being able to relate to other musicians who can read that.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I mean, you say you did 2 years of classical piano as a kid. My parents put me through 6 years of classical piano and I did learn to read. But if you don't continue that, it's like a foreign language. If you don't, I couldn't read to save myself these days.
No, that's right. I mean, I know the little basics of the stuff, you know, and I can do that. But sometimes in the studio it would have been helpful to be able to, because it's very frustrating for musicians, and I've been in a situation where I've been playing and the engineer's been out there and the other person who is going to come in and actually play an instrument, you know, I've actually heard them say, who wrote this shit anyway? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, they don't know that I wrote this and they don't know that I really don't want to hear that, because there's that distance of relating, you know, which can be really difficult. So most of the time I play the keyboards on what I do, unless Alan's around, and forget about it, he can play it because he's brilliant. But otherwise I just stick to my own rules. It's easier.
Yeah. So you were at home in Nelson for quite a while, and then the small pond got too little for you. You wanted to make a bit of a name here in Australia, which you'd certainly managed to do. Tell us about the move here and what happened.
It wasn't really so much wanting to come to Australia as being my record contract at the time. They wanted to transfer it over here to Australia to just open up a bigger scope for me because I'd been around the traps and I'd done a lot of things in New Zealand, and most people, and way back then, the big jump was to go to Australia. You know, you had to go over there. But in my case, it wasn't so much as just leaving New Zealand and going. It was they transferred my contract over and said, look, we're putting it all over in Australia now. You'll be signed out of Sydney, basically, and go over there and see how things go. And it was all tied in with the release of a single, which I hadn't written. Long story, but anyway.
Which single was that?
It was a song written by Steve Kipner, who's an Australian writer, called How Do You Talk to Boys? So that was added to be my big single thing. But and it did pretty well. But the main single for me off that album was the Words album was the track Words. So I mean that when that first broke out, that really, really helped me. And we were luckily enough for us, we got a tour opening for Boz Skaggs, which was great because we had just been playing little pubs and doing the drives as you do. And then all of a sudden we were able to play Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, and even Perth, you know, so it was great. It really helped a lot.
When they told you that you were moving, was that challenging for you? I mean, I can imagine sort of stepping across the big ditch must have felt a bit daunting.
It was at first. I had the actual move to live here was daunting, but I had come over with my Kiwi band before, and we stayed in a hotel in King's Cross, and we went out and we did our little gigs and all the stuff that people really don't do that much of at the moment, you know, in this day and age. But in those days, we would drive long distances and we'd work about 5 days a week at different pubs, and that was a real good grounding. But I hadn't moved, so then I went back, and then I had to face the fact that, you know, my life is going to go from that to Australia. But it's a hop, you know.
Yeah.
It's a few hours on the plane. It's longer to get to Perth, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when that first single did come out, and subsequently you were a massive hit here in this country, the biggest single and the biggest success you've had to date came from the next album, didn't it? That was the album Foreign Affairs in 1983, which threw that terrific track Maxine.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise for me because I made the record in LA with a very dear friend who produced it, John Boylan. And we finished the album and the record company said, well, we don't hear a single. So I went and I said, okay, so they wanted something up-tempo and they wanted something else to tag on it. So I wrote Losing You. And they thought, okay, fine. And that became the first single, which did fine. It was great. But then they followed it up with Maxine, and that was the biggest single, which had been there all along, but they hadn't heard it.
Wow.
So it was unusual.
Yeah. What do you think it was about that track that really captured everybody's hearts?
I think maybe the content of the lyrics was intriguing, maybe, because it was like written about a real person in my eyes, anyway. And I just think it's a cruisy little musical song that, and I love the sax hook on the beginning and the solo, just little elements like that. But it was never a big hit, which is ironic. But it's the one that everybody knows me for. But it never went top 10 or anything like that.
Really?
It just has bubbled along over the years, and I love playing it. And I love the fact that people know it. But it was never one of those gung-ho hits.
I didn't know that. Sharon, are you on a laptop or on a fixed computer?
I'm on a fixed.
You can't tilt the screen down a little bit?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, could you? Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Yeah, that's much
now
better.
I can see our picture of the Rolling Stones leaning against the wall that's yet to be hung up.
You've got the Rolling Stones and I've got the Beatles leaning on my wall.
I was watching John playing his guitar before. Now I've got the whole band.
Don't we come from the same era? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't realise that Maxine hadn't hit the top 10. I mean, it was so well known here. It was known right around the world. It wasn't just limited to Australia, was it?
I don't think so, but it was one of those things that, I mean, and the record company didn't hear it in the first place, so I was very pleased that it actually got a life.
Yeah. Who were you writing about?
I didn't know her personally, but the time when I was with my band from New Zealand and we were based in King's Cross, we'd play Newcastle and we'd drive back 3 a.m. or whatever it was that we got home. And I would see this girl outside what used to be the Bank of New South Wales, is now the Westpac. And she would always be standing there working. And I just, coming from New Zealand, I hadn't really seen much about nightlife, but, King's Cross cures that very quickly. And I just really felt for her and her lifestyle and everything. And it just flowed out from there, really.
Right. Oh, and for anybody listening who doesn't know what we're talking about in terms of King's Cross, it's like the red light district of Amsterdam, for example, and I think every city has one of those.
Yeah, exactly. And very colourful back in the day. Probably, I'm sure, still colourful. It's just the nature of the
we don't go there anymore.
No.
Yeah, it certainly used to draw the crowd's attention, didn't it, when it was all
yeah,
new to our eyes.
Something for everybody.
Yeah, that's completely right. It was a top 20 chart success, though, both in Australia and New Zealand. And of course, then, as a result of that album and that single in particular, you won Australia's highest awards. You won the Top Female Vocalist Award in 3 consecutive years, 78, 79 and 80. You won the Countdown Rock Awards, and I think I've said on this show a few times that Countdown was our national music program that millions of kids and not so young people would gather around every Sunday night to watch. You won that 3 times between 1980 and 85. And Sounds Pop Poll in 83 and 84. Sharon O'Neill, you were just flying high in those days. You couldn't put a foot wrong.
You're educating me now. I'm thinking, really? They were great times, very busy times. I loved it, that whole era, and I still love that era, I've got to say.
And what do you think it was? What was so good about it? I mean, live music was really happening then, wasn't it? How would you describe that time?
That in a nutshell, everybody was working. Everybody was crossing paths, which was amazing. And even now, it's very interesting when you do. I have done a few shows. Let's go back a couple of years now because of what's happened. But we all us 80s people get together, and when we do, even though we haven't seen each other for years, it's like you just know, you're all on the same plane. It's like you never stopped. It's just something about that whole era that was just so, everybody related to everybody, and everyone was a buddy. Whether you were real buddies or not, didn't matter. You were a buddy and you knew that person and you gave them a hug. And that still happens, which I think is great to reflect on.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if that still happens today in the music scene with all the...
Well, with the masks and the elbows, probably not, but it might be good up here.
That's true. Stephen, you had a couple of questions up your sleeve that you wanted to ask Sharon. Would you like to?
I've got about 1,000 here, but I'll just pick something out.
I'll fire away with a couple, Stephen.
What was your favourite song that you sang?
Oh, gosh. That's a tricky one because there's just so many songs that I really do enjoy playing, especially live. Would like Maxine, I guess, because that's the strongest connection I have with an audience, and when they sing along, they really do sing along with the end of that song. But I have others. I actually really like Love Can Be Cruel, which is probably from, I think, the Words album.
Yep.
Why do you like that one, Sharon?
Well, I don't do it live. I don't know why that makes any sense to you, but I don't do it live, but there's just something about singing it and the chord progression that I've always loved. And it's just one of those idiosyncrasies of your past.
It's close to your heart, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Nice. Stephen?
I was going to say, who is your favourite singer, but I think that might be Linda Ronstadt. Is that correct?
I was just, get out of my head. Definitely, yeah, a huge fan. And actually, the John Boylan, who produced Foreign Affairs, has quite a history with Linda over the years with her career. And he now is managing her over in LA. And I mean, she's very burdened with this terrible disease, which is it's such a tragedy. But he looks after, I think she speaks out to people about her problems, and she's just wonderful. But that voice, and I have seen her live and met her backstage, which was such a thrill for me. I nearly just keeled over. But her voice is just incredible and very influential for me, because it's that chest voice that I like to explore. But man, can she go up there? She's got the works going on, and with her voice, I'm a big fan.
She was always a mentor to you?
Yeah, I mean, I just used to really, really listen to her voice, because the way she positions her voice with her chest voice. And I think what is remarkable to me, because that's my level, I kind of operate in it, if you can see it, but like there. And she has that classical, she can go right up there. And all that fascinates me, the way she can just place her voice in so many different ways with such strength. You know, when she did Pirates of Penzance, like, who would have thought? But yeah, and a mentor, not that I can get that close to her, which I would love to do, but I mean, definitely a mentor. Yeah.
Are you still writing songs today?
Yes, I am. Not so prolifically, because I'm not recording right now, but I have, especially Alan and I write a lot together too. And I did road test a new song last time I was in New Zealand. We managed to do a small tour of New Zealand right before COVID hit, gratefully, because otherwise we wouldn't have even been able to go back over there. So I was able to road test a new song of ours, and that seemed to go over really well. We're planning, and you know, in the long distance, we're planning on doing an EP of songs that we have. We've got quite a backlog to finish up, and I'd like to put that out at some point.
That'd be wonderful. I know in 2018 you did a duet with Ben Ransom singing Young Years. That was a song that you co-wrote for Dragon. That's not the one you're talking about, is it?
No, it's
That's
brand
different
new
again.
Right,
okay. So I mean, you've done a lot of writing for other people, not only for yourself over the years, haven't you?
Yeah, well, particularly with Dragon, with Alan and I wrote quite a few songs for them, and I've had covers of different things that you don't find out about it till down the line. There's been covers of Maybe by a Japanese artist, covers of other things that I haven't even recorded, and I don't know how they get out there, but somehow somebody else has recorded it, and I go, how did they listen? How did they find that? Which is always fun. It's always interesting to get somebody else's take on it. And I know Alan was on tour, I think, with Robert Palmer, and he was in Singapore, and he went to a record store and he heard a record playing, and he thought to himself, I know those horn parts they're my horn parts. And it was Physical Favours, which we wrote together, done in Cantonese, which is hilarious, but you know,
that's what it was.
Covered, and he said,
How amazing.
That's our song.
You
Sounded very different.
You actually contributed to Robert Palmer's music too, didn't you?
We did write with Robert, yeah.
What was he like?
Lovely guy, yeah. Very. He and Alan were besties, really, and we spent a lot of time over at Robert's in Switzerland, just hanging out, writing, and I did do some harmonies on one of his albums. Went down and did some harmonies for that, so it's fun. I mean, a genius composer, singer, really.
Yeah, what Lovely. A terrible loss.
Terrible loss, yeah, a big shock.
Stephen, you got more?
Okay. The film clip for Danger just disappeared and we never saw it again.
What's that, sorry?
The film clip for Danger. The clip for the song.
Film clip for Danger. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, it was.
I think you can't seem to get up and watch anymore.
I think that was done in Newtown at the old brick furnaces and everything like that.
That's right.
I remember rightly. I don't know where that is, Stephen. I can't help you there.
Yeah, had the puppets and everything, and it's just.
That's right. Yes.
You can type
exactly.
it in all day, but you'll never be able to watch it. Just disappeared.
Yeah. Interesting.
You'll have to do some research, Stephen, and find out what happened to it, perhaps, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Re-release it. I was intrigued, Sharon, to read that you spent a bit of time as an aerobics instructor too.
I did. An aerobics instructor.
How amazing during the heady days of aerobics.
Well, I mean, at the time I'd been through this court case with, they're Sony now, CBS, they were back in the day. And at that point, I really couldn't do anything. I mean, I could write songs, but I couldn't record. It was all history and quite a turmoil. So I figured, well, the best way to get through all that crap is to be fit. And I did my course for fitness and took classes. It was great. I loved it.
Fun. Oh, yeah. You're combining music and dance. It's wonderful.
And dance. Well, in those days, you were able to make up your own
choreography. Yeah, that's right.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No, absolutely
you have
not.
to do the right thing and pay for this stuff, which as a writer
right.
I appreciate.
I have a massive gripe with Jane Fonda for ruining my body. 2 knee replacements and a hip replacement and the like. It's all because at the age of 16 she said jump up and down as high as you can go, as often as you can every day. Apparently I'm not alone.
Truth. Yeah.
So what can we expect? A new EP coming out from you, hopefully sooner than later.
Hopefully. I mean, right now everything's on the back burner for obvious reasons, but we have the songs. It's just the vehicle to put it together and get it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, technology came along and sort of dumped in our lap right when we were so hands-on, and I think for a lot of us back in the day, if you didn't get on board with technology immediately, it kind of swamped you. And we're very hands-on players. Like the way we write is we just at the upright piano, Alan might be on his keyboard, and we're very hands-on. But then it gets thrown over to the technical side of it, and we need help with that. So it's on the back burner, but it's not gone.
Excellent. I notice on your handle here it says the twins, Alan and Sharon. You're obviously extremely close.
We are, and it's really funny because a lot of the times we'll be thinking of the same song and we'll come out with the same line, and it happened this morning with a Pink song.
Ah.
and she was on TV last night, or her music was on TV last night in one of the shows we were watching, and it came in, what about us? And I said to him this morning, I said, oh, God, I woke up this morning and all I could think of was that Pink song. And we both went, what about us? At the same time. And I said, do you believe what just happened? Honestly. I swear, it happens a lot. Well, you know, on the same wavelength.
In tune. Yeah, very nice. So nice. Sharon, I'll let you go. Stephen, have you got something you'd like to finish up with?
A lot of your songs seem to have a story to them. Any of them stories from real life, like Kids in Our Town and Radio Lover and songs like that?
Yeah, Kids in Our Town, definitely. And obviously Maxine was a story. A lot of a lot of emotions occur as you're just going through your day-to-day life. And sometimes they're strong enough to write about. And that generally is a little story. I mean, you enhance it a little bit, embellish here and there. But other than that, I mean, I like to have it a real situation when I'm doing lyrics.
Yep.
I like it to mean something.
How cathartic is it for you writing about the stuff that comes into your head that elicits emotion?
Oh, very, very cathartic. Especially something like Physical Favors. I really enjoy singing that song because it gets it out. There are definitely people in the world like that.
We'll have a listen to that one now. Stephen, last opportunity.
In 87, I was on my honeymoon and went to one of your concerts in Barcelona, RSL Club. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, my Lord.
Physical Favours store, never been worn.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I think I've got another one for you. If you can leave if you can leave Sandy an address.
Yep.
I think I have another one for you that you might really appreciate.
Sounds good.
And I'll send it to you.
That's lovely.
Send it to you, Stephen.
That's so nice. Well, Stephen is definitely, if not the number one fan, one of the very top ones. He just couldn't hear of anybody else. It was all Sharon O'Neill for you, Stephen, wasn't it? It's been like that.
Right.
Your wife must have been very jealous.
She could be.
Still?
But she puts up with it.
That's so nice. How do you feel having...
Good on her. That's a nice thing. She's a good one then. She's a keeper.
She doesn't like when I forget her birthday, but I remember yours.
Okay.
That's lovely. So how do you feel, Stephen, having had the opportunity to chat with Sharon?
Awesome. Very good. I can tick that off my bucket list now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, really.
Well, I
nice.
enjoyed it, Stephen. Thanks for being a fan.
Thanks for having me.
Sharon, thanks.
Sandy. I enjoy your show. Listen every Sunday. Love it.
Oh, that's great, Stephen. Keep listening. I'll let you know when this one comes up. Sharon O'Neill, fabulous to meet you and speak with you. All the very best for the challenges ahead. And we'll look forward to celebrating good times with you through new music in hopefully not too distant future. Our very best wishes to Alan too.
Thanks so much, Sandy. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks. And Sharon, I'll let you know also when this is going to go to air and send you a link for it too, so you can have a listen and do what you will with it.
That'd be great. Thanks for that. And if you can just email me Stephen's address.
I shall do. That's very, very kind of you. Very kind. Thanks, Sharon. You're gorgeous. Thanks for agreeing to talk to Stephen too, because there's some people that they're like, oh no, I can't do that. Who knows what'll come out of their mouth. No worries. Very easy. Nice of you. Great. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.